In this tutorial, we're going to use InDesign CC 2020 to go through Classroom in a Book Chapter 7, which is all about working with typography. We're going to be making this Bite of Delight Strawberries page and learning quite a few things that we can do with the typography options in InDesign. So let's go ahead and go into InDesign and open up that start file. Let's do a file, save as, first initial, last name, underscore InDesign, CIAB, Chapter 7. I'm going to make sure I'm in my Chapter 7 folder and say save. Alright, so let's go ahead and play with Chapter 7. Let's go ahead and make sure we're in Window, Workspace Essentials today. Alright, we are there. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to be playing with type and character. So let's go ahead and type and open up character. Where'd it go? It is lost. Here it is. Alright, so character. I've got a character panel that popped up. We know we're going to use that quite a bit in this one, so I'm going to go ahead and dock it. And I'm going to go type and go ahead and grab paragraph. And grab that one and dock it as well. So it's really easy if you dock those, depending on what you're doing, to not have to open and close and go and find them all the time. Let's go ahead, we've got our type. Let's make sure our show hidden characters is turned on so we can see what's going on there. So let's go ahead and play with our lesson to make this look even better. So first thing we're going to do is go down to this recipe down here at the bottom about chocolate covered strawberries. So I'm going to Control plus and go down there. And let's zoom in. Let's grab our type tool. Let's go right before the first line of the recipe with a half pound of strawberries. Half pound. And we want to do select all. So let's go to Control A will give us a select all, or you could drag. And let's go to the paragraph panel. It's got the little paragraph sign. We want to make sure that we add a space after each paragraph mark. So anywhere there's one of these paragraph marks, we're going to add a space after, which is this guy right down here. It's the third down on the right hand column, and we want to add 0.0625 after each one. And of course it's not letting me do it. Let's try doing it this way. No, it doesn't like that way either. Alright, let's try this. There we go. I had my chocolate covered strawberries, so don't include your chocolate covered strawberries. Alright, so don't do select all. I messed up. 0625. Alright, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and do a few other things. Let's go ahead and look at our fonts. So let's go ahead. I'm trying to figure out what they're having us do. We want to add a font. So let's go to the character panel. Let's go ahead and get out of this. Click on your pasteboard. And we want to go to the font menu and we want to do find more. So in character, if we click here on the down arrow, we get this one called find more. So in find more, we want to find Adobe Caslon Pro. So Adobe Caslon Pro. Alright, so then we want to activate the font. So we're going to go ahead and hit the little cloud, the download, and it's going to say activate. If you are not connected to the internet, this might have a trouble trying to work. So just a little hint. So that's going to go ahead and give us more versions of the font than we had before. So let's go to our fonts and go to Adobe Caslon Pro, which we just installed. And now I'm not seeing it, so let's go ahead and try one more time. Maybe it's not here yet. Adobe, Adobe, there we go. Castellan Pro. Okay, it says we've got it activated. So we can see the 6 different versions. Okay, so we're good there. Alright, let's go ahead and play with our strawberries up here. So let's go ahead and click out of here. Let's go up to our headline that says strawberries. With our text tools, click here into the strawberries. And let's go ahead and in our font menu with our character panel, let's go ahead and use that Adobe Castellan Pro that we just installed. And we want to go ahead and use the regular one. So because we didn't have anything selected, it says I don't know what you want to put it on. So let's go ahead and triple click and now do the Adobe Castellan Pro regular. Alright, so we went ahead and changed that one. So now we want to go ahead and change the S up a little bit. We want to make it special. So let's drag to select the S. And let's do a bold italic for that S. That's kind of pretty. Now let's go ahead and work on this quote over here on the side. So let's go ahead, I'm going to switch out. You stand out like a strawberry in a bowl of peas. I'm not sure what the author's thing with peas is, but there's a lot of peas in this book. Alright, let's go ahead and use the type tool and select everything in this here. So let's change it to Adobe Castellan Pro bold italic. So it's down right here, so let's go ahead way up. Come down here to bold italic. We want our size to be 24. We want our leading, so that's our space between the lines, to be 35. Alright, this is set at metrics, this at 0, and tab, so we're good with that one. Alright, so now we want to go to the character, and we want to go here to the hamburger menu and grab the one that says Open Type. And we want to make sure the one that says Swash is clicked. Which sounds really weird, but it will make more sense. So we want to make sure Swash is chosen. Alright, so then what we're going to do is come over here to our quote paragraph. Let's click 4 times. And we're going to get that little Open Type paragraph, the little badge. And we want to go ahead and click on it. And it's going to say, what do you want to do? So I want to do discretionary ligatures, which means I want all my STs to be fancy like this. And my Y, see how it gets kind of that extra little flair at the beginning? I want it to have that. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So let's go ahead and go out here, deselect, and do a Control S and save what we have right there. So now we want to go down to this paragraph down here, and we want to add a special character. So let's go to our type tool and grab the one called Glyphs. Glyphs is where elements of the font are sometimes hidden that you don't necessarily see. So in this font we have a glyph that has kind of this heart-shaped character. So I'm going to go ahead and double click that one. And now I'm happy with it. I can go ahead and close my glyphs. It's the only one I'm looking for right now. And we're going to make that look even cooler. So let's go ahead and select it. Let's make it size 122. Tab. Okay, so now it's nice and big. I'm going to go over here to my properties panel. There we go, properties. And in properties, I want to go ahead and change my stroke and my fill. So in the stroke part, I want a stroke of 1 point. And I want the stroke to be the green stem. So I'm going to go here. Come here. I want green stem. And I want my fill to be the strawberry red. So now if I click out over here on my pasteboard, you'll see I've got I'll zoom in even more, a green stroke and a red fill on my little ornament that I have there. So now the next thing we want to do is go back and play with these glyphs here, these half-pound strawberries with stems. If you use just the 1/2, it doesn't look as nice. So we can make it look even better. So let's go ahead and go up to our type again and grab our glyphs. And in our glyphs, we want to go ahead and grab the one called numbers. And it'll just show us numbers. So I've got my half selected. I'm going to go over here to my 1/2 and double click it. And it's going to go ahead and change out that 1/2 right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of the fractions. So it makes it look much more professional, much like a much cleaner design. So you want to make sure that you go through whenever you're putting these recipes together and working on those. So I see only 3 that I need to go ahead and change. Alright, so let's go ahead and close my glyphs. Make that smaller. Let's do a Control S and save what we have so far. Alright, so now let's go ahead and make this look even better. So we want to add some columns. So let's select the text frame that this stuff is in. So we want to grab the headline. Let's do Object. Let's come down here to Text Frame Options. Turn your preview on. We want to have 2 columns. It's okay that we're going to mess with this headline in here in a little bit. In the gutter, we want to make sure it's 0.25. Make sure we're happy with how it looks and say OK. Now we want to create something called a straddle head. So we want this chocolate covered strawberries to go over both of these columns without having to make another box. You don't want to make more boxes. So let's go ahead and grab our type tool. Select chocolate covered strawberries. Then we want to come up to the paragraph panel menu. So let's go to paragraph. We want to grab the hamburger menu. We want to come down to span columns. Alright, so we want to span not just one column, we want to span, let's see if I can move it out of the way, all the columns. So we want it to go over all the columns that we have. And then let's say OK. So let's do a Control S and save what we have so far. Now let's make it look a little bit better. We want nutritional facts not to be down here at the bottom. So let's go to Type. Insert break character. Let's add a column break. So it's going to grab that nutritional facts. There it is. And move that over for us. So don't make the box smaller. Don't do any of that. Just break it the way it's supposed to be. Well, let's do a view fit on page. Page fit in window so we can see the whole thing. Now you see at the top we've got this part that says a bite of delight. Let's go ahead and play with that part. So let's grab our insertion tool right here. Let's go ahead and align center. It's going to align the whole thing. Now let's go ahead and come down to below. Let's grab this heart-shaped fruit part and let's play with what we have there. Let's go Edit, Select All. And we want to do justify with last line aligned left. So we want this in paragraph. We want the 4th one over. See if I'll get the pop-up. Alright, so last line aligned left. Okay. Now let's grab our chocolate covered strawberries recipe heading right over here. And let's go ahead and center that. We can either center it with the command, or we can go a command. We can do a shortcut, which is Shift Control C. All right, keep going. For some reason, I thought I was trying to stop my recording. All right, so I'm going to do a Shift Control. Keep going. All right, for some reason, that's messing with Kaltura. So we're just going to go ahead and center it the normal way so we don't kill the recording. We've had enough problems with recordings. Alright, so let's go ahead and do some hanging punctuation outside the margin to make it look a little bit cleaner. It's kind of an optical way to make things look a little bit cleaner. So let's go ahead and grab the selection tool and grab this heart-shaped fruit that's good for your heart. Let's go into Type. Let's come down here to Story. And story is going to pop up a panel. And for that panel, we want to go ahead and tell it to optical margin align, and we want to bump it up to 14. I didn't see it do anything. You see it do anything? Part of it has to do with the alignment of hyphens. Okay, so yes, it did do something. I just missed it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and make a drop cap. We're going to close the story. We're going to play with our drop cap here. So I'll go into our type tool, and right here under heart shaped, let's go to our paragraph panel. Fourth one down on the left hand side, we want to go ahead and drop that 2 lines. You could, if you wanted to, you can do even more letters. So you have an option. Generally, drop caps are just 1, but really depends on what style you're trying to create. All right, now what else do we want to do? We want to play with that drop cap, so let's select it. And let's go ahead and change that to green. So the fill, let's go ahead and make it green. And let's click on the pasteboard to deselect our selection tool. All right, so now we have a green. So let's do a Control S and save what we have so far. Let's go ahead and adjust the tracking and kerning. Remember, tracking is the space between lines and letters. So let's go into this Bite of Delight. Let's grab the type tool. Let's go to Bite of Delight and let's select the whole thing. So click 3 times. And in the character panel, so let's close that one and go grab character. We want to go ahead and change that tracking to 100. So it's that one that says V/A. That is the one that's tracking. So let's go ahead and change it to 100. And see how it's going to kind of spread those letters out for us. Now let's look at the one called Strawberries. And let's click twice to select the whole thing. And let's make it a little bit closer together. So let's do -20. Oh, we can't do, we can do -25, so we have to go in and do -20 and hit enter. All right, so now we might want to even make it even tighter. So maybe we want to make the strawberry and the S even closer. So I'm going to go right between the 2. I'm going to hit Alt or Option and the left arrow, and it's going to make just that little tiny space even tighter. So you've got the option to even go letter by letter to make things look better. And let's do a Control S and save what we have so far. All right, the next thing we're going to work on is hyphenation. And this is one that tricks students up all the time. Hyphenation is hiding here in the paragraph. So we want to go in our type tool here with our heart shaped. Let's do an Edit, Select All, or Control A to select the whole thing. And we want to go ahead and make it so it does not hyphenate. So go ahead and hit hyphenate and deselect that. So it looks, how we can see how it looks with no hyphenation. So maybe you don't mind hyphens. Let's go ahead and make it hyphenate, but let's go ahead and change it a little bit. So let's go ahead and go up to here to the top, come down to hyphenation. And we want to hyphen with at least 5 letters after the first 2 letters. Before 2, hyphen limit is 2, and the zone is 0.5. We want capitalized and last word, and say OK. You can move this over, put your preview on to kind of see what's going to happen, and say OK. All right, so we're getting pretty close. We want to mess with the quote a little bit more. So let's go to our type tool, and we want of and P's to be on the same line. So we want to add a manual line break. So we're going to go ahead and shift and enter to move that down. We don't want to just push enter because that would mess up our paragraph styles and things we have assigned so far. And let's go ahead and make that whole thing centered as well. So let's do Control S and save what we have. So we're getting pretty close. We're just going to add a few more things. let's add a tab and make this have a little bit cleaner look. So we want to go down, zoom in on this recipe. Whoop. I'm going to grab my selection tool, go ahead, zoom in on my recipe. So we can see this nutritional facts part right here. So we want to make sure we've got our show hidden characters turned on. We want to go in right before serving size with our type tool. And we want to drag to select all the way down through protein. 0G. Then we want to go to type. We want to come down to tabs. We want to open that tabs folder. So what we want to do here is we want to play with how we have it justified. So we want this right justify tab right here on the end. We want to put 2 for the tab stop and press tab to go to leader, which means what do you want to be in between? We want it to have periods in between. And I hit tab again, and notice how now it puts those dot leaders in for us. So that's how you get that nice clean without having to put a whole bunch of dots in. Because now I can change the size of this box and it will go ahead and make that, it'll add what we need to add. So I'm going to undo. Alright, let's go ahead and close our tabs, deselect all, and Control S to save. We're getting close. So one thing you need to do is now we want to make this recipe make more sense. So give people directions on what order they need to do these things. So let's give our text tool, do wash strawberries all the way down to place on wax paper. And we want to go into our properties panel. And we have this one over here, it says bullets and numbering. And you want to make sure you hit the numbering right here. And that's going to automatically do all the hanging indents. It's going to make it really, really pretty in the way it's supposed to be. So don't try and number it and make it work yourself. So now let's work with some paragraph shading and rules. So we want to make this chocolate covered strawberries look a little bit nicer. So let's grab our type tool. And we're going to click in our chocolate covered strawberries. We want to go into shading in the lower left corner of the paragraph menu. So we've got this paragraph menu right here. Oop, come back. Where it says shading. And we want to go ahead and tell it to be red. So that makes it much easier. We didn't have to add any more boxes. We didn't have to do anything else. We just had to shade behind it. Alright, so let's do a Control S and save. So we're almost there. Let's go ahead and add a rule to a paragraph. A rule, remember, is a line. So let's use our type tool and go into a bit of delight. Let's go into our paragraph rules from the paragraph panel menu. So we go to our hamburger and come down here to paragraph rules. Make sure your preview is turned on so you can see what it is. And we want to put our rule below. We turn it on, turn the rule below, and we want the weight to be 8 points. Oh, rule on. We want it to be 8 points. We want the color to be stem green. We want the width to be the text, so we just want under the letters. We want our type, let's go ahead and make it the white diamond. And the offset, we're going to go ahead and set to 0.0625. So we want it to be not exactly right underneath it. And say OK. Click out, and you can kind of see how we added that rule there. Well, somehow I got one underneath as well. Let's go ahead and fix that. Okay, go to type. Let's go to my paragraph rules. I'm not exactly sure how I turned 2 of them on. Alright, for my purposes, don't worry about it. Alright. So, we have done a lot of changes to this one. Let's go ahead and do our view in our preview mode. and see how it looks. So yes, I would need to go through and figure out how to get that line off. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So I probably would get rid of the lines altogether and go back and fix it. But for our purposes, this is perfect for what we need. Let's do a file and come down here to package. Make sure we don't have any errors. We're going to go ahead and package it. Go ahead and say save. I'm going to make sure that I'm in my lesson 7 instead of folder. Putting my PKG. I'm going to be in lesson 7 and save and package. I'm going to go into my folders, my lesson 7. Going to look at my PKG file. I want one with fonts. I want the 3 files. We're good to go there. Right click, send to compressed folder. Once you have that zipped file, you're going to go ahead and make sure that's the one you turn in. And we did quite a bit with different types of typography, and I hope to see some of it in your publications.